Hello, this is Josh, Dream Body Clinic, and today I want to talk a bit about peptides. So I get asked about peptides a lot. They're very cool. They're proteins. They have a lot of different uses, a lot of benefits, and there's so many of them. Now, I've been lucky enough that I've worked with quite a few bodybuilders in the past, and I've known about peptides for, at least 15 years, maybe longer, because back then, people were using them, but it was mainly just bodybuilders on forums talking about this, and they didn't want to ruin it because it has this legal gray area where you can buy peptides online as research chemicals. They'll ship them to your house. You can use them, and they don't fall into that pharmaceutical class where you would need a prescription and whatnot. But where people miss is that even though these have a lot of study research, there's usually a reason most of them have not been taken to market and sold by pharmaceutical companies. And that's because a lot of them are very limited, a lot have side effects, and a lot just didn't do enough to make it worth it because there were other like peptides or medicines that had been brought to market that worked better. So let's give probably the one people are looking at the most now are the GLP-1s, like semaglutide. So originally that was in peptide form and bodybuilders would buy it and use it. Then terzapeptide, then they got now retatrutide. So all of those are GLP-1s. The semaglutide, you saw what Novo Nordisk did with that. In fact, they stopped making Norditropin. They had some issues and just focused on that because they were making so much money. A lot of side effects with that one though. I'm not a fan of it. Terzapeptide has now been picked up by Humatrope and brought to market. And I think they call it Mounjaro. And that one, very few, if any, side effects, works much better. I think that's a better option. And now retatrutide was picked up by one of the pharmaceutical companies, just got approved, and that'll be coming to market very soon. And that's the one that like people are just saying is the best. That's the one I get the most feedback on. So peptides are awesome. They can, if they work, be brought to market. But so far, those are the only real ones that have been. The original peptide, the best peptide in my opinion, is human growth hormone. So many benefits to growth hormone. Genentech brought this to market with insulin. That was two of the first pharmaceutical, recombinant DNA products ever brought to market. And there's actually a really good book I'm reading right now about it, about Genentech. You could look it up. And it just goes through how they developed recombinant DNA. They then started being able to produce some of these amazing bioidentical peptides that can help. In growth hormone, before it came out, kids were dying of what's called Creutzfeldt-Jacobson's disease, mad cow for humans, because they were using real growth hormone from pituitaries of cadavers. It's pretty gross, and unfortunately, consuming, or putting human tissue inside yourself can lead to that. It's scary, so they created this bioidentical form. And the cool part with growth hormone, it's not like testosterone. There's no feedback loop. You're not going to shut down your natural production. And that's where you start having issues with most of these peptides. There's a lot of what are called secretagogues, like CJC 1295 with ipamorelin. There's sermorelin. There's now probably like 20 others, and even like different chain length of amino acids that are based off of growth hormone. But that's the problem. None of them quite work the same. All of them, I've seen patients come to me where it is shut down their natural production. They'll come in here, we'll test their IGF-1 levels, and they'll be like around 10 to 50, which is like what you would have in your 80s or 90s. A normal person typically has a IGF-1 level of around 100 to 200 if they're over 30. Below 30 typically have higher than that. That's because you're growing taller. You need more IGF-1 to grow taller. That's why these work to help kids grow taller. So a lot of anti-aging benefits with growth hormone. The TRIM studies, TRIIM and TRIM-X are showing that. And it helps skin tone, it helps with fat loss, it helps with muscle retention, it helps with, there's certain memory cells it converts into or combine to and help with memory, gets to your liver, converts to IGF-1, which is in your blood plasma, helps you heal faster. It is amazing. It is expensive though. It's very difficult to make, so that's why it's so faked. Bodybuilders really ruin the market for it because there's so much fake bad stuff, not complete chain, like 192 instead of 191 chain amino acid. This is 191 chain. 192 is really easy to make and cheap, and that's what most of the fake stuff you'll see. Like Pfizer Genotropin like this is probably one of the most fake growth hormones in the world. Tons of it coming out of Turkey, and it's just blatant when you see the box. Totally different, like logo, font, all kinds of things. I went to Istanbul a few years ago. It is not an over-the-counter medicine. They will sell it to you over the counter, but it's not. And it's just like Mexico. They got all these small pharmacies that are basically laundering money, selling bad meds, and you can get that. And now they ship it to people, they order online, ship it to their house. Well, growth hormone needs to stay refrigerated. Genotropin and some of the others, because they're lyophilized powder, freeze-dried powder, they're good for about a month at room temp, but after that, they go inert. None of these people shipping it are keeping it like refrigerated. We keep it in pharmaceutical refrigerators. It's delivered to us from the national distributor, from refrigerated sources, refrigerators in these temperature controlled bags with temperature monitors. And then you got things like the new one, Pfizer and Genla, the most powerful, best growth hormone out there, in my opinion. You only have to inject it once a week. This one's already in liquid form when you get it. This whole thing's filled with liquid. I've already used this one. Little teeny tiny needle, and yeah, this has to stay refrigerated at all times. So that's how we give it to patients, in a cooler. So peptides are awesome. You just have to be careful. I was reading a study the other day, all the raw materials for all these peptides you see online are coming from China. So even if the lab is FDA approved or they say it's in the US, the original material is all from China, and they're finding very high levels of lead and aluminum in these samples. So it sucks, but this is a very common thing with the Chinese suppliers is, it's all about the bottom line to them. If you've talked to people that, work in China, it's a race to the bottom. Everyone's just trying to create the lowest price, and unfortunately quality suffers because of that. And I'm not a big fan of big pharma. I mean, we fight it back against it with our stem cell procedures, but when it comes to the best peptides, the best medicines, they still do it right. So that's why I only deal with things like human growth hormone. Cerebrolysine is also a great peptide. It's been pharmaceutically approved since the 1950s in Europe, Russia, China, but the US and Canada, because it's off patent, will never bring it. But we have that here. We send a lot of people home with it, but there's a lot of fake stuff or low dose you can find from these peptide companies. And it's just not worth it. It's not the sort of thing you want to inject into your body and not really know where it's coming from, that it's being done right. Now there's some cool ones. I'm a big fan of like GHKCU. It's a copper peptide. It can really help with skin tone, with hair. It blocks the sun. I mean, you will not burn if you go in the sun all day if you're using GHKCU. It's pretty cool. Melanotan 2, Melanotan 1, similar thing. They build up the melanin in your skin. Cool benefits to those. But then you get things like BPC 157, TB 500, and they call them the Wolverine stack. And it's so crazy because BPC stands for body protecting compound, not body regenerating compound. It will protect your body. It will slow down decay. It's beneficial, but it's not going to fix your bad shoulder, your bad knee. It can slow it down. It can help with pain relief, but it's not going to rebuild that cartilage. It's not going to rebuild those ligaments or tendons. That's something mesenchymal stem cells can do, and we do that constantly. And if people want to run BPC with it, great. The stem cells are like the manager on the construction site guiding the repair. The peptides are like having more workers on the construction site. They work great together, but don't expect the BPC to just rebuild your body. There's a reason it never got brought to market. If you really read into it, read the research, it's interesting, but it's not this Wolverine stack it's claimed to be. If you want that Wolverine stack, do some growth hormone with some stem cells and watch your body recover and regenerate. It's incredible. The IGF-1 from this will help you heal faster. The stem cells can get rid of the fibrosis or scar tissue that's in the way. And that's the big problem. These peptides can't get past the fibrosis, the scar tissue. Stem cells can help get rid of that. Now you've got the underlying tissue and you can start healing it. So For most of the things people are trying to fix with the peptides, it'd be much better to look into mesenchymal stem cells. Growth hormone, as much as I love it, I wouldn't use it to go fix my knee or my shoulder because look, I'd been using it for about 3 years when I did my knees, and I had multiple meniscus tears and a partially torn ACL in my right knee. It kept them from hurting so bad, and I think that's where people get confused, is it does limit inflammation, it does limit pain, but it can't get past that scar tissue, so you don't really heal. And that's how all these peptides work in general. So you're limited. The stem cells get past that, they open it up, and now if you've got increased IGF-1, well, you're gonna heal faster. Again, you have more workers on site. So peptides are cool. I think they get overhyped in a lot of ways. They're a great tool, and most of them people don't realize you can't just increase the dose and get better results. You can't run most of them indefinitely. Things like MOTS-c or any of the secretagogues for growth hormone, if you increase the dose on those, double the dose doesn't get you double the benefits. And running them indefinitely will cause feedback loop errors in your system and cause actually problems instead of benefit. And almost every peptide runs into those problems, which is why most of them never got brought to market. Because most people just want a pill they don't have to think about and take every day. But if you tell them, hey, you have to run this at this dose for 3 months and take a break, then go again, you've lost most people. Even though that's really simple, most people will forget or not do it. It makes it really tough to be a pharmaceutical medicine if it's not something you can take nearly risk-free and indefinitely. And most things you don't want to do that with. Growth hormone, you can. Again, 13 years I've been using it. I've only cycled off a couple of times. My IGF-1 naturally is around 150, and that's what it's been since I started. No feedback loop errors, anything like that. Worst kind of side effect you can get is a little extra fluid retention. Yeah, my fingers swell sometimes and kind of messing with my rings. And you could get some carpal tunnel. That happened to me once. I was able to fix it with stem cells, but it was also being lazy on bench press, letting my wrists go back. So there's that. And if you ever get it, you just lower the dose and you're good. It'll go away and you can start back up. The Ngenla doesn't really get the water retention like traditional growth hormones, so that's why I really like it. But again, look, this is me telling you about things I can offer. I know that price sounds like, hey, if this guy just wants to sell what he has, and of course I do. I want to sell the things we have. I want you to want them, but I also know how well they work and how much better they are than these other things. Peptides here, you could sell them, no one's going to care, but I would never do it because they're technically not legal here in Mexico. I could have set up a business selling peptides years ago, had the opportunity in the US. I don't like to do things that I don't think are going to take people as far as I want. I don't have treatments on the website for any stem cells if I don't feel like there's an 80% chance or higher of success. And I want to help people. And I don't want to mislead them and have them spend a lot of money on peptides that they could have spent the same or less on growth hormone and gotten better results. So I offer the best things. I only offer things I do myself. So that's why I do that. I've played around with all these peptides. I have yet to find one where I'm like, wow, I want to be on this forever, keep using it. I didn't find enough benefit in any of them to keep using them. So growth hormone I use, stem cells I use, testosterone I use, metformin I use here and there. That you do want to cycle. Cerebral iocin, I like that, but I only do that maybe once, twice a year max. So that's what we do. And if you want to learn more, check out our website. It's www.dreambody.clinic. Scroll down on the homepage. Everything's listed. It starts with stem cells, ends with medicines. It's all there. You can click, get info, links to studies, patient testimonials. It's all there. And you can call me toll free anytime if you got questions at 888-704-3977. I'm Josh. Happy to help.